Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Timothy here with Mana Rocks, and we are going to be doing a couple more companion standard events. Less events and just playing freeform with some of the companions. So far, we have already played with Karuga and Garuda. Kind of hard to get these names separated, right? A lot of them sound very similar. But anyway, we're going to play with a couple more companions. We've still got 8 to go, so a lot here. And we're going to leave it up to our super duper high-tech wheel here to figure out which one we're going to play today. Thanks for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at all of these. Lutri, huh? The elemental otter that nobody in Commander is allowed to play. For good reason. Alright, so Lutri, this one's interesting because this is one of the decks that I did not just net deck off of online somewhere. And the reason is because there's not really much of a reason to, right? Lutri's not exactly like a competitive deck because it's all one-ofs. It's hard to have a game plan when your deck is all one-ofs, right? So Lutri, for those of you who might have forgotten, the companion restriction is that each non-land card in your starting deck has a different name. So basically, you can't play multiples of any card. I would like to see the Lutri Persistent Petitioners deck, Lutri 7 Dwarves, if you will. But anyway, basically this is just a collection of good Izzet cards. It's got a kind of Spells Matters theme going to it. Cards like Firemind Research, Sprite Dragon, there's a Niv Mizzet at the top end. But you're basically playing the best Izzet cards that I had in my collection, and like good blue-red cards. There's not really a lot of consistency to it. But what you get by doing this is you get to have Lutri as a companion, so you're always up a card at the start of the game. Lutri is really good with cheap removal. It basically turns your companion into a removal spell that also puts a body on board, and in the late game you can do some absurd stuff like copying some of the more expensive spells, which I don't expect to come up too often. I don't think this deck is going to be super powerful because again it's going to be just super inconsistent, right? We're going to draw different random cards every single time, and we don't have a lot of control over it, but hopefully just the control element to this gets us there. Apparently there's only one 5-drop in the deck as well. So yeah, Lutri is probably the least played companion when it comes to standard. In fact, it might be the only companion that I've never seen a deck of, because why would you, right? You can't build a consistent deck with Lutri, but it is an interesting deck building requirement when it comes to standard, similar to Yorion, right? I think Yorion and Lutri have the most interesting deck building requirements where they ask you to build your deck in a way that's different than you normally would, right? Or at least the standard kind of things, right, that you would expect out of deck building. These two are the ones that flip them on their heads, whereas the other ones all just ask that certain types of cards be in your deck. These actually ask you to build the deck with different characteristics than a normal deck would have. But I guess we're going to play Lutri here. I haven't actually even tested this deck out, so hopefully it does something, right? I'm kind of excited. We get to play on full control with Lutri here, but we'll see if it works or not. If we lose 5 straight games, then sure, we can kind of see why Lutri is not exactly played. But hopefully we win a couple, we have a couple fun matches. If you like this series, if you want to see more companions, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We will be doing one video for each of the companions. Might do multiple decks for some of them, depending on whether there's interesting stuff going on. But this is basically a creation of my own. If you have a successful Lutri deck that you want to share, feel free to do so in the comments below. You can also find me on Twitter at @MTG_ManaRocks, but enough of an introduction. Let's go ahead and play with Lutri. I'll see you all in match number 1. Alright, welcome to match number 1. We're playing Lutri the Spell Chaser today. We're against Kenklum, no companion on the other side. And we've got kind of a messy hand here that needs to draw a bunch of lands, but hopefully we're playing against a creature deck. That's not a good sign. I already imagine this is some sort of flash deck. We'll just go ahead and run out Terramander here. If they play like a Spectral Sailor or something, then so be it. But who knows? It's funny because the companions lead you to, oh my god, Renowned Weaponsmith is some sort of mono blue artifact deck. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Do we just kill it now? I think I'm just going to go Scorch and Dragonfire this thing right away. It cuts them off of whatever extra mana they get off of this Weaponsmith. The thing can tap for 2. They could cast a 5-drop. I don't know what kind of artifacts are good to be cast in these days, but there is that option. Emery, huh? So, mill 4. Oh, Rampage of the Clans. Alright, I have mad respect for Kenklum here playing something interesting. This card's sweet, right? You destroy all artifacts and enchantments on the board and replace them all with 3/3 centaurs. So we're going to go ahead and just Bone Crusher Emery right away. Although they don't actually have anything in the graveyard they can cast. They could target a Meteor Golem. But I can actually probably wait on that. I don't know if they're playing counter magic or not. Finale of Promise can go to the bottom. The reason I'm waiting on it is because they might just have another Emery in hand. I don't want to kill this and then give them the opportunity to just play another one on their turn. Heart Piercer Bow. Hopefully they just equip here. Heart Piercer Bow. Go ahead and kill Emery in response so they cannot snipe down my Terramander. And, ooh, Blitz of the Thunder Raptors, decent in this deck. Seems like a good time to just get Ral down, right? Start plussing the Scry 1. We can minus on a later turn if we need to. It does leave us down for Neutralize, but get this Walker on board. Light up the stage is probably good enough. I have a land in hand, so I just don't think I'm supposed to be putting spells on the bottom. I could also potentially go for Light up the stage Lutri, and opponent scoops. Okay, well, not a competitive match there, but we see kind of the just blue-red stuff against kind of a niche deck there. I would have liked to see more of what was going on with my opponent there, but I saw some Meteor of the Golems and some Rampage of the Clans. I kind of dig it. We get to pick up a match win here, though, with just random blue-red cards, and we'll see if we can do it again. Match number 2 coming up. Alright, welcome back. We are here for match number 2 against Karuga, probably Jeskai Fires. This hand is not very good at all, so we're going to go ahead and ditch it. This is a lot better, although I don't know how good the 3 damage spells are, so I'll probably ditch the Scorch and Dragonfire because the Fire Prophecy could be useful later on. This is not a very good hand against Jeskai Fires, though. But that's fine. We got some Scry action going on. We are on the play. Problem is, against Jeskai Fires, you want to pressure them as much as possible, but you don't want to do so in a way that you're weak to cards like Deafening Clarion, which I don't think this deck's probably that weak to Deafening Clarion, to be honest. And they could also be some other Karuga deck. I just assume since we played Jeskai Fires, and that's the most popular place for Karuga, that we're probably just against Jeskai Fires. Alright, confirmed. Opponent gets to scry up to 6 times their first turn. Ral's Outburst, I'm going to ditch. I'm just looking for lands and my big spells here. But I don't feel good about this hand against a Fires deck. We'll see how it all works out. Alright, so scry 3, 2 to the bottom. This deck doesn't really apply pressure too early, so a Fires deck can easily overtake us. Scry, I didn't see what they did with the second scry there. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. Opt, huh? Let's go ahead and opt first. Saheeli, that actually seems pretty good. Again, Deafening Clarion could be a problem, but we get to stick Saheeli. Our opponent can't really do anything about it. Blitz can kill a creature. It could kill 2 creatures potentially with a Lutri. We have 1 spell in the graveyard. I think I'm going to put Blitz on the bottom here. It's because I don't think I'm going to get enough spells in the graveyard to the point where I'm going to be able to Blitz and Lutri and kill 2 things by the time I need to do that. But we'll see. Opponent's just going to play another land here. Remember, that deck, even though Karuga says they can't play things with mana cost 1 or 2, they can still play cards like Bone Crusher Giant and Brazen Borrower, since the combined mana cost fits. Alright, I'm going to go Saheeli here for sure, and pass the turn. Awkward part being that I don't actually have a spell to trigger Saheeli. Would not mind drawing a counter spell here. If I'm going to draw a non-land card, I'd prefer for it to be counter spell so I can counter whatever Fires they cast. Teferi's okay. They're going to plus Teferi, I assume. Yep. This can't hit Planeswalkers, right? No. Bone Crusher can. I can also just bounce it. I can go Dora at bounce. God, I hate this art. I wish I could permanently change it back. Sprite Dragon. Could go Sprite Dragon, Bone Crusher this. I could actually kill Teferi here, right? I go here, make a servo, or here, yeah, I go Sprite Dragon, Bone Crusher Giant, this thing, make a servo with the Bone Crusher Giant, turn that servo into this, and attack for 3. I guess, I mean, it kills Teferi, which isn't too big of a deal or anything, but we should cast this first. But they don't get a card off Teferi here. That being said, they are going to get these Sphinges. So turn this into a 1/1 haste flyer. Don't normally minus Saheeli, but if it gives me an opportunity to kill a creature, then sure. Unfortunately, I can't get a counter on that servo, but I imagine they're either going to go fires here and just go off, in which case we're pretty far behind, or they're going to go ahead and cast a Sphinx if they don't have fires. Could also just have a tap land here. They need another blue for the Sphinx specifically, but I assume fires decks always have fires on turn 4. Okay. Island, yep. And are we casting a Sphinx? Narset, okay. Narset's gonna minus. This can hit Planeswalker, so they can kill Saheeli. So draw a card and then discard a 4-drop to deal 4 to Saheeli. Okay, sure. That's respectable. Drew a land, so we can go Bone Crusher Giant, hold up Brazen Borrower, and we can just obviously kill Narset here. Opponent didn't have fires there, though. Because if they had fires in hand, they would have gone fires into Narset, right? Alright, let's just go ahead and cast Bone Crusher here. And fingers crossed, no Deafening Clarion. If they have a Clarion, that's virtually game over. Doesn't, I mean, they don't have fires. We basically know that, right? Narset's really cool. I like this card. I like how it's a 3-color Planeswalker and it feels powerful, but it doesn't feel like when it hits the board you've just lost the game. I think this is a good design for a walker. I feel like the card advantage being a minus is what makes it a nice balanced card. It's got an emblem that isn't just straight up win the game. It's probably win the game, but you actually have to like play towards it. Oh, we're using Bone Crusher. I can Fire Prophecy my 1/1 to keep this thing around. Is that worth it? They can Bone Crusher a second time, but if I can get this out of range, I mean, they could just have another Bone Crusher Giant and then I'm down a Fire Prophecy, but they don't have an answer to my Bone Crusher right now. They haven't played a land yet. I wonder if it's worth killing my servo to keep Sprite Dragon alive here. I'm not sure it is, but I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to keep Brazen Borrower in my hand, I think. Bone Crusher resolves. Let's see if they go for another one here. They could have double Bone Crusher. They can just cast their Bone Crusher now. Interesting. Teferi bounce. Sure. So opponent's buying some time here for sure. Royal Scions is a nice one. So we're going to go this thing. Cast Royal Scions, draw a card, discard a card. No real reason to do the minus here. Okay, we'll pitch the mountain. And then we will attack Teferi and attack you. So again, Teferi buying a little bit of time, but now I have Royal Scions on board. Keep in mind, I have this Brazen Borrower too. If they somehow play 2 things, I can go Brazen Borrower, Lutri, copy the bounce. If they go like fires into Sphinx or something along those lines. If they just play a Bone Crusher Giant here, it's going to be a little bit awkward because I put it back in their hand, but at least this will be out of range. It does feel like my opponent's hand's not that good, from what I can tell. They're probably sitting on Cavaliers and Kenriths and whatnot. Just a lot of expensive cards that they need fires down for. +2 +0 first strike and trample. Oh, they have fires. So Brazen Borrower should be pretty good here. Let's see what they actually end up casting. Tap land. I mean, they could play Karuga to draw a card. Sphinx, sure. Ral, huh? I want to get Ral down, but probably not the right time to do it. So I think we're going to go for Brazen Borrower, both of your things here. Attack for 4, 5, 6, 7. Could make it just 9 damage. Nine damage seems good. Alright, so let's go full control. My opponent can't respond. I can play around Mystic Dispute here by making sure this is the last thing that gets bounced. So I need to target that first. So target fires, submit, cast Lutri. Copy Petty Theft. And that's going to bounce the Sphinx. Fairy Dragon's only going to get 1 counter here, though, because I'm not casting the copy. Again, I get kind of destroyed by Deafening Clarion if they end up drawing it. We're going to go ahead and just get an extra 2 points of damage in here. And we'll 9-ball them. Alright, no Clarion, fingers crossed. In order for them to cast 2 spells this turn, they probably have to go fires into spell, so I doubt they're getting 2 creatures on board. I guess if they have an untapped land, they could go like Sphinx, Bone Crusher. So, no more of that. We only 2 cards in their hand we don't know about. One of them is probably like a Cavalier. One of them is probably one of their big 5-drops. Cavalier or Kenrith, if not both of them. They could have Mystical Dispute. Another Teferi. Teferi's going to bounce. So they're going to go Teferi plus Bone Crusher Giant. They didn't bounce anything. Clarion? They drew the Clarion. Okay. Well, I guess we might be able to ult Royal Scions next turn. We can go Ral. Ral plus this up to 8, and then they have to find a way to kill or deal damage to this. Although they're going to have the stupid haste creature. I mean, there's no guarantee of that, but let's go ahead and plus this first. Might draw something better than a Steam Vents here. I guess it's technically better than a Steam Vent. Alright, let's go ahead and play Ral. And just hope they don't have a haste creature for the Scions. Steam Vents can definitely go to the bottom. And I guess I should... Well, I'll just keep that in hand. I'll keep that in hand. Let's see. You got a haste creature? They can go fires into Cavalier. They could also just like cast a Cavalier or a Kenrith here and poke down the Royal Scions. If they have fires into Cavalier, they would need an untapped mana source to actually kill the Scions. Can't use Brazen Borrower as a chump blocker because it can only block flyers. Let's see. If they don't deal with Scions this turn, I'm going to get an emblem. Which would kill my opponent. Exactly. Opponent's slow rolling us, though. They could go Karuga here for an extra draw. I guess they would have to go Fires Karuga. If they go Karuga first, there's really nothing they can draw. Okay, they had a Bone Crusher in hand. Not bad, opponent. Not bad. Into Sphinx. Crackling Drake. Oh, should cast that first and then decide what to do with it. Or we could scry first. Would Crack on Drake into a cheap spell? Probably not likely. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do both of these plus and no matter what. Guess I'll give myself... an extra card before I do the looting and whatnot. Ionize would have been nice. Alright, let's go ahead and scry one. Terramander. I don't have that many spells in my graveyard. Actually, I can cast a Terramander though. Let's go ahead and plus discard land, cast Terramander. Maybe I should have discarded a spell there. Opponent gets to scry. I feel like this game is slipping, or has slipped. Maybe I should have pitched Ionize here just to have an extra spell in the graveyard for Drake and Terramander. If I draw like one reasonably good spell here, I can use Row's Minus to copy it, which also does damage to the opponent. With Row on board, Ionize deals 3 damage, although I can't cast an Ionize through a Teferi, so maybe, yeah, I should have definitely cast Ionize. Alright, here goes Fires into... There's the big boy. Let's see if they attack with both or not, though. They'd probably just pump Cavalier, attack with just Cavalier, I imagine. Now I've got to do my best to kill Teferi, I think. Okay. If they there's no way they can attack with both. It's just not a thing. Is it worth keeping this around? I can give this thing first strike? Maybe. There's no trample. Yeah, just keeping Scions around here, I suppose. Can they kill me next turn with this plus this plus this? Probably. Ral, huh? Another Ral. So... I mean, they can block here. I think I've lost this game. I think Royal Scions needs to hit something pretty good here. Let's see. Fae of Wishes. With an incomplete sideboard. Okay, let's go ahead and pitch Ionize. Wish I knew what was in my sideboard. I think I just go with this Ral. I can get 2 cards from my sideboard, but I don't have a complete sideboard here. Let's go ahead and scry. Light up the stage. Just need to find a burn spell that I can copy with Storm's Conduit here. If I can find like a 3 damage to face, a lightning strike or something, then I've got the win. I guess I'll put Castle Vantress in my hand. The other one goes to the graveyard. Alright, play Castle Vantress, pass turn. Opponent can go Karuga plus Bone Crusher and attack Royal Scions to death. Kill multiple creatures. But I think my out here is finding some sort of direct damage spell and then copying it with this Ral. Yep, there's Karuga. Is going to draw him just 4 cards. Companion. Powerful. And they get 1 more spell this turn. They could bounce Fires back to their hand with Teferi if they want to cast multiple spells. Elspeth conquers death. Alright, so I think they're just going to take out all my walkers. Oh, they're just going to kill me here. Alright, good game. And that's going to be lethal. Lost to fires. Didn't have fast enough of a start. I probably could have played that a little bit differently. I just needed them to not have... I mean, they had to answer for Royal Scions into Deafening Clarion, which were two things I needed them to not have, and they happened to have both of them. So we came close there, but ultimately fizzled out against the Jeskai Fires deck, and we'll go ahead and run it back again. Match 3 coming up. All right, welcome. We are back against Allurus of the Dream Den. Hopefully this isn't the Cyclone deck, and it's more of a little creature deck because I have a Flame Sweep and a Chandra here. I am on the draw, but this hand looks respectable. We've got an Electrostatic Field, which is kind of a shoe-in throwaway card, if you will. But hopefully the Flame Sweep is good here. And you're up. No Priest of Forgotten Gods, pretty please, with Sugar on top. Might just play this on turn 2 anyway and just ignore the Electrostatic Field for a minute. If I draw another untapped source, I won't, though. Mire Triton. Okay, I guess that's a concession to the fact that Loris is your companion. Alright, we did draw another untapped source, so I'm just going to play Electrostatic Field, block Gutter Bones, and pass. Hopefully set up for a really good Flame Sweep here. Problem, of course, being that Loris is their companion, so things that go to the graveyard will not stay in their graveyard. Easy block. Oh, they're going to kill off my Electrostatic Field? Sure. I think Deadweight's going to get much better than that against me. Alright, still set up for a turn 4 Crackling Drake if I go Flame Sweep this turn. So do I take 5 and then try to get whatever they play post-combat? Or do I just Flame Sweep in the middle of combat? I think I'm just going to Flame Sweep after attacks here. They can't get Gutter Bones right away. They're going to get a 1-1. They might go Loris into 1-drop here, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. Hopefully Chandra can mop up in a couple turns. Cheap spell for Lutri would be good. This is where Scorching Dragonfire is a fantastic card. They might not... I mean, I've noticed people are really just reluctant to play their Lurises, and that's correct, right? As long as you have stuff to do in your hand, you shouldn't expose the Luris. Because you would ideally like to bleed your opponent dry of answers and then cast Luris, but... they might go for it here. If they have nothing else relevant, go Luris 1-drop. Alseid of Life's Bounty. Didn't see that one coming. And they might have the Call of the Death Dweller is what it looks like. Get a 1 and 2 drop back. Alright, so we have rebuilt. But we know all of their action here, and I've got a Crackling Drake which can block these guys. Could also play Rael and get the tap land down. Rael is a 1/3. This thing has Menace. This thing has Death Touch. I think I just want to play Crackling Drake here. Drawn from Dreams. Okay. My 1/4 Crackling Drake. This thing has Death Touch. So we're taking at least 3 here. And we need to hit a 6th land very quickly. I guess I can go Drawn from Dreams next turn. Just guarantee a 6th land, but we'll see what we draw first. Alright, here goes Loris and Deadweight, I assume, is what's going on. Loris Deadweight seems worse than Loris Creature. All it does is let him get an extra point of damage in. Oh, I mean, all this did was gain them a life, actually. They're not even going to attack with the Alseid. That doesn't do anything. Like, the Deadweight just did nothing. Hold up, Ionize. No, I definitely need to hit the land here, because -3 to everything kills their entire board. They get a 1/1. They can save Loris, which is kind of annoying, actually. And then they can rebuild from there. But then I have a Chandra active. think I'm going to go Drawn from Dreams here. Put a land, and let's see. Blitz. They would all be steam vents. Land plus Blitz in my hand. Blitz, Lutri. We're definitely playing the long game here. We're going to take some more damage. We're going to have to shock ourselves. So it's not looking great, but it's looking fine. And I'll just block the biggest thing with Crackling Drake here because it's going to die to my own Chandra. They're going to be able to kill Chandra though, right? Unless they just tap very poorly here and don't keep the Alseid up. Because I'm going to wipe my board and they're going to keep Loris on board, and then they're going to attack this down to... Or it's going to go down to 3 when it minuses. And then they'll attack and kill it off. And hopefully we can stabilize from there. We shall see. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to take 5. Yeah, I don't think I'm winning. I think I'm just taking too much damage and getting to the point where I'm stabilizing here. The fact that they can save Loris is bad news for me, though. I'm even losing damage. Like, they're going to keep a 1-1. Ooh, Storm's Wrath? Hold on a minute. Hold on just a minute. Oh, never mind. I'm an idiot. Wait, no. I'm not an idiot. We go... Storm's Wrath. In response to the Alseid, we blitz the Loris. They'll get a 1-1. I'll go down to 3. I'm sorry, I'll go down to 4 from this, and then down to 3 from the Hunted Witness. They just let it happen? Huh. They didn't even activate the Alseid. I don't get it. Maybe I blitz this. But I can also exile Gutterbones with Lutri, so I'm going to let him deal the 1 here. And they just go Gutterbones, play Gutterbones, then I can go Blitz, Lutri, Blitz. I think they just messed up and didn't use the Alseid. They're at 35 life. Alright, I guess this is as good a turn to just go Chandra anyway. Sweep up the board again. And then start plussing Chandra from there. I feel like if I untap and they somehow don't get a bunch of pressure on board, I'm doing great. They can't damage me this turn, best I know. So I don't think they're going to be able to get Gutterbones back. They could have another Call of the Death Dweller, I suppose, to get Lutri back and then start going off there. But as I mentioned, I'm pretty well set against that. Alright, I think Chandra's just going to take this game over now. Go Rael and hold up Ionize here. Probably should have played Ral, to be honest. Yep, I think we've got it here, barring a flurry of weird spells. Because anything they play, we can also Chandra minus X, like -1 to kill a Gutterbones and exile it, right? You're going to need to find something that puts a bunch of creatures on board. And yeah, it doesn't look like I have that much of a clock, but Rael actually deals damage, and Chandra stacks over time. I'm not going to expose myself there. We're just going to plus again. I'm going to opt... Or actually, I guess I can go... Yeah, I'll just Ral here. If it's a land, I'll opt into... Well, I'll keep Scryland on top. I'm going to keep up Ionize here, but... If it was an untapped land, I'll opt into it and play it so I can keep up Ionize. But I think my opponent's just going to die a lot quicker than it seems. What, are they holding all lands? Like, what's going on? Fabled Passage in the 2-color deck seems weird. Deadweight Rael's fine. Deadweight Rael again is probably fine. Okay, play Scryland. That Scryland can go to the bottom. Scry again. Mythos of Valdric, sure. This splits up 5 damage between players or creatures and planeswalkers, but doesn't actually hit players, so I'm going to put that on the bottom. It's also an awkward card with Lutri because you can't pick different targets for the copy if you do manage to copy it. I will cast Opt, just get another spell in the graveyard. Ral can't hit creatures, right? Island to the bottom. And attack for 2. Opponent did not crack their Fabled Passage. Are they doing the whole wait until the end step thing? I always find that really tedious, unless there's a reason to do it. I probably complain about that every single video. The Chandra emblem count is at 3. Pow, pow, pow. Okay, Castle Locthwain could be the type of card that gets them into this. If they don't cast anything before activating Castle Locthwain, it means they almost definitely have a land in their hand. Or some sort of aura or something that they just can't cast on this board. Cruel Celebrant. Guess I'll ionize that. Deal 1 to you, deal 2 to you with ionize. I'd just rather that not hit the board in case they have like a Witch's Oven to sack it or something. Granted, I can blitz it in response to anything that could sack it. Priest is fine. I'm just going to -2 Chandra on the Priest. They're already under enough of a clock, right? Plus Ral. Lay into the bottom. And attack for 3. Go ahead. So they should probably castle on upkeep here. Yeah, it's the same result. I mean, any singular creature just gets poked by Chandra here, so I don't see how this goes anywhere. And they finally scoop it up. They hit a lot of lands, but we were lucky to hit that Storm's Wrath. Granted, we had an answer, right? If they had used the Alseid to protect the Lurrus from the Storm's Wrath, then I would have blitzed it in response so that the Lurrus would have been exiled, and I still would have wiped their board. So I think I would have gotten to this board state regardless, but the opponent did mess up by not trying to give Lurrus protection from red there. Unless I missed something, I think they just made a mistake. It didn't matter anyway. I think I still had that one, although it was very close. But we'll go ahead and run it back. We got about 2 more matches in us here. I think we're 2-1 or something like that. But again, matches don't really matter here. Just playing for fun. Lutri, match number 4 coming up. See you there. All right, here we are again against Karuga once again. Narset's okay against that deck, but not great. The walkers seem fine, though. I'm going to keep this hand. I'm just going to go for a turn 2 Terramander. It's not going to get enough damage in to really make it worth my while to miss out on casting these on turn 3. Mythos of Valdric can hit Planeswalkers, but it's not that big of a deal. Opponent took a mole, but they have their Sphinx. I guess we go Scryland and just see if there's like another basic. I'll keep that. think my goal here is just to get the Royal Scions down and see if I can get it to ult as soon as possible. Alright, opponent took a mole and scried 3 cards to the bottom. So they're either looking for fires or looking for lands, would be my guess. Savai Triome. Alright, so we do have natural turn 3 Walker. I am going to just cast a Pateramander. Assume always they have turn 3 Teferi, so I guess I would rather just get the Royal Scions on board. Maybe start fishing for a counterspell or something like that. Alright, they got Bone Crusher Giant at the ready. Fine with it. Get in there, Scions. Plus, draw a card, discard this Triome. Pitch turn. If they just play Bone Crusher, I might have to use Mythos on it. I've got nothing else going on here. Black mana. Okay. Wow, okay. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to do that. Let's see if we draw something for it first. Youch. This is not good. I mean, I could hold this and try to deal a little bit of extra damage. Could also just play Narset, but that's not that great. Let's just go ahead and Mythos this thing. I'll take 2 off of it. Sure, we'll pay the white-blue so that thing doesn't untap. Deals 2 to us, and let's see if they've got, like, Fires plus Sphinx. They don't have any blue mana on board, so they can't naturally cast Sphinx. Not drawing cheap spells here, that's for sure. Alright, Shock Teferi. Teferi cannot bounce Royal Scion, so really looking for a counterspell. I guess that's not good against Teferi. Maybe we're not looking for a counterspell. That's okay. Storm's Wrath does hit Planeswalkers as well. Alright, we'll pitch an island here. Play an island, and is there any way they can go Fires plus Haste Creature and attack Scions? Do I want to keep up Shark Typhoon? I probably want to keep up Shark Typhoon anyway just to be able to deal with this rather than play Narset. Typhoon being the one thing I can play through my opponent's turn, basically. This isn't an auto win, though. It draws me a bunch of cards, but that's it. Alright, let's see. Fires plus Haste Creature. Karuga. Okay. Draw a card. Go and make a 3/3 here. Alright, too many lands. So, what do you do exactly? -8, draw 4 cards, deal damage to any target equal to the number of cards in your hand. I could just draw a bunch of cards here. Or I could Storm's Wrath, hold up like Brazen Borrower, and just keep plussing the Royal Scions. Can also hold up Brazen Borrower, Lutri, and attack this. Could Narset. It's a little risky to just not use my spells while I can. I know I'm going to attack Teferi, that's for sure. Do I want to trade in Royal Scions to kill Karuga and then try to win through card advantage here? Because as soon as they find Fires, the gig is up, right? That might be worth it. Just cash in Royal Scions while I know I can. Okay. Alright, I don't love it, but we're going to do it. Draw 4. Pop that. Ooh, we have a... Oh, I thought that was Niv Mizzet. It's Expansion Explosion. Still pretty good. I can go Ral. Just plus Ral. Go Narset plus Hold Up Interaction. Kind of like just going Ral here. Get another Walker on board. They have to have exactly Fires plus Haste Creature for that to really punish me. Maybe it's better to go Narset here. Just cut off their avenue of drawing cards. We'll go Ral. Sure. Do I actually? Nah, I'll put this fairy thing in my hand. Pass turn. Alright, just hoping no fires here, basically. Okay. Have to be exactly Kenrith now for them to attack Ral. Don't mind too much about that. That's going to go ahead and bounce that, but I can go ahead and kill Teferi with this. So this seems okay. Again, opponents buying themselves sometimes. The neutralize is a good draw. I will put Rael in my hand, drawn from Dreams in the graveyard. Attack here. Opponent can start double spelling on me. Gonna go ahead and shock. And I think I'm holding up neutralize plus Brazen Borrower here. I'll neutralize any of the haste threats or anything that draws extra cards. And I guess the goal of this game now is to -8 Ral if I can. This is a -8 that wins you the game. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it deals 4 damage to any target and you draw 2 cards. So if we can get Ral to 8 and then 2 turns from now, Bone Crusher. No, I just want to neutralize this Bone Crusher. Then what's their next play? Play like a Sphinx of Foresight or something? Sure. I'll counter it, because then I don't have to deal with the Bone Crusher either. Ah, yes. Fairy Dragon gets a counter. They can't respond. That deck does play like Mystical Disputes, which is very awkward. And Deafening Clarion, just to hit Dorat. Okay, before it gets out of range, I suppose. They can't cast any more spells this turn, so that seems fine by me. Fae of Wishes. Should probably revisit how good Fae of Wishes is here. I will keep a land. Sure. Scry to the bottom. I think what we're going to do here is I can go Narset and hold up Brazen Borrower plus expansion, so I can bounce 2 things if there are multiple threats. Narset also cuts off any extra card draw they might have. They can't respond. I mean, I guess they can do that, but... And they can do that as well. Oh, they have to do that in response to Narset, right? Alright, minus Narset. Opponent's got a fresh new hand. We will put... Yikes. I kind of want all of these. I'll put Perforos's Intervention in hand. And pass turn with double bounce spell up. Okay, I like it. I like that there are still lands. Or lands. I kind of want them to go Cavalier and try to discard their hand and draw a bunch of cards. I think we're going to get this with the Ral emblem here. Another fires that does nothing. Alright, we've got a Ral emblem. See if our opponent can beat it. And now I'm just not even going to cast these things. Let's go -8. I think here we're going to go Scorching Dragonfire, copy with Lutri. 4 damage to opponent. Draw 2 cards. Flash Lutri. That's what I like about fires, knowing that your opponent can't interact. Yep, that's going to resolve, and then we'll Dragonfire this thing again. Guess we might as well minus Narset here. Blitz is cheap. So I can go do this for 0. I mean, I definitely win next turn, but sure. I mean, I think I've 100% got this now. There's no... I can't think of any 2 threats in their deck. I guess Kenrith could be reasonable. I mean, that's fine. We've got a Brazen Borrower for it, so I'm not worried about it. Discard Fae of Wishes, discard Rael. And all we need to do is survive this turn, cast a spell on their turn, untap, and cast 2 spells. And now they're not even going to have enough mana, I think, to activate Kenrith if they draw it. I guess they could, but I've got enough spells that I can just win through that. They can't draw extra cards because of Narset, so they're stuck with whatever these 2 cards are. Whatever that 1 card is. And we'll go ahead and Brazen Borrower your 6/6 here. Opponent attacks me. Schwink. I will draw 2 cards and deal 4 damage to you. And that'll do it. Some Planeswalker ults. We ulted 2 Planeswalkers that game. We ulted a Royal Scions and a Ralzeric. How often does that happen? Alright. So a bunch of random spells kind of gets the job done. We got one more on us. We'll go ahead and say one more match here, and then we'll talk about the deck. So this will be match 5 with Lutri coming up. See you there. All right, welcome back. I guess Karuga is all the rage today, not Loris. This hand's pretty bad because Blitz, Beacon Bolt, and Ral do not deal with threats unless there are spells in my graveyard. Mythos isn't good against this deck. This is just not a good hand. This is better. Finale to the bottom. Finale's a cool swingy spell, but it doesn't really work with the instants or sorceries we already have in our hands. So, yeah, we'll see if Valenther can redeem the former Fires player that we just beat. And they probably will, given that this hand kind of sucks. Oh, baby. This hand really sucks. All right. Just play a Bone Crusher. Let me Fire Prophecy it, please. Nope, we're just going to get turn 4 fires, and we're going to have done nothing up until that point. I accept. They didn't have a turn 3 Teferi. But shock fires for sure. Uh-huh. You got it. Oh. Well, if I cast Lutri, they have to minus, right? And then I could kill it with, I guess, Perfros's intervention. I'm going to go and cast Lutri. I can't do it after Teferi resolves. If they bounce Lutri, that's fine. But it prevents their option of just plussing. Alright, do we want to Perfros's intervention this thing? Can this just deal damage to Planeswalkers? It can. So either mode works. We're going to go Scry land here. It's a lot of land. And intervention for 1. Let's go and kill Teferi. We only have 1 red mana too. That's kind of awkward. I mean, we can like Fire Prophecy plus Lutri a big boy, but if they have too many big boys, that's when it becomes a problem. And it's very likely that deck has too many big boys. Doesn't even matter what colors they have now. Okay, here comes Cavalier. Discarding probably a bunch of cards, drawing a bunch of cards. Discarded a Bone Crusher Giant and then Karuga. So they're up 2 cards. Yeah, we're not winning this game. We can try, but we're not going to. Take a million. They've missed it. Not good enough, unfortunately. Pop Lutri, Fire Prophecy. Pop. Ditch Rael here. Yeah, this is not a game-winning hand against fires. Like, I already have to chump Karuga. Yep. Alright, we'll give him the GG. That's why fires is good. Because if your opponent doesn't interact with you, you win. And unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of early game interaction that time. So we beat a fires deck, we lost to a fires deck. Actually, did we lose to 2 fires decks? The one we played earlier? I think we might have lost to 2 fires decks, but that puts us at like 3-2 or something like that. Fun little deck. Not a lot of consistency going on, right? There's not really a game plan here. I guess the Planeswalker ults were kind of our game plan, but there's not really like, oh, I really hope I draw XYZ, because you only have one-ofs in, 36 one-of cards. So drawing any particular card is not going to cut it, but it does come together as kind of this spells matters fun to play deck, and I enjoyed it. I don't know if there's something more tuned you could be going for with Lutri that'll lead to a more consistent deck. The Fae of Wishes was really awkward. You can see I started on a sideboard here, and then I was like, forget about it, I'm going to play best of one, but this would likely come out in further renditions. We saw most of the deck, though. We didn't see Brineborn Cutthroat, Goblin Electromancer. Didn't really get to use a Finale of Promise. Some of the early game kind of build around cards like Firemind's Research didn't come up, but we did see the power of the Planeswalkers and just playing a control game. Chandra was an all-star against that Loris deck. Doubling as both a win condition and a sweeper, which I value quite a bit. This is probably also just good against like Yorion decks and stuff like that, people playing the control game, because it can't be countered. There's also like Commence the End Game, also can't be countered. Niv Mizzet can't be countered. These big game and like just giant Izzet spells, right? Maybe not enough spells to justify things like Terramander. Crackle and Drake probably wasn't at its best, but any of the stuff that triggers off non-creature spells, still pretty good. Anyway, that's going to go ahead and do it for Lutri. I really enjoyed this one. I hope you guys had fun. Again, I don't know that I would recommend playing this if you're trying to win over something like a Jeskai Fires deck, but if you're looking to have a little bit of fun, it's easy to swap cards around in this deck and just play with what you have and have a companion, which you should be doing in this current standard, because having a companion is better than not having a companion. Anyway, thanks for watching. Remember, you can subscribe below if you like this content, or if you want to see more. You can find us on Twitter at @MTG_ManaRocks, and that's going to go ahead and do it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.